Welcome back to yet another riveting installment of our journey through the number system. I guess I could be Captain Kirk if you're a Star Trek fan. If you're not a Star Trek fan, I wouldn't say that I'm necessarily a fan. I just like the movies. Um, I am the lead astronaut in our journey through the number system. Today, we're going to look at our whole numbers and our integers after discussing the natural numbers in our first section. So we're going to be learning about the integers, so I can perform operations and find the absolute value of integers. I'll know I've got it when I can successfully implement the order of operations to simplify numerical and algebraic expressions. Just a brief reminder, in case you've forgotten, you have your vocabulary here, integer, absolute value, and the order of operations. You are expected to define those words prior to moving on to the remaining slides. All right, so last lesson, we had that natural numbers, which began at 1 and continued in the right direction for the increasing values such as 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, up and onward until infinity. We call those the counting numbers because that is how you learned to count when you were a wee little lad. Now, within this set, we can see the addition of 0 makes this the set of whole numbers, and it is formed by combining the number 0 with the natural numbers. So in the event, now we have a new letter, Z, that includes the opposites of our natural numbers and 0. We would call that the integers. And this kind of came into play when you began your pre-algebra and algebraic exploration. This set is formed by combining the whole numbers with the opposites of the natural numbers. Every natural number has an opposite, which we refer to as its negative. And something that we'll be talking about throughout this lesson is the absolute value of a number. You might have been told erroneously when you were younger that it's always positive. That I think is a terrible way to remember the absolute value. It is really the distance or how far away a number is from 0 on a number line. Let's begin. So with absolute value, if we think of the number 3, we ask ourselves, what is the distance from 0? Okay. In case you forgot, oops, that's a terrible absolute value sign. I gets the job done. Right, but an absolute value are those two vertical bars. So the absolute value of any positive number, if we're talking distance from 0, is simply the number itself. And the absolute value of any negative number is the opposite of that number. So if we had the absolute value of -3, let's say, right, we had a number line. Here's 0. Here's -3. We're still talking distance. And that value is 3 units from 0. The absolute value of 0 is 0. There is no distance between those 2 points. So in this slide, checkpoint 1 and 2 determine the value of each expression based on the symbols. We talked about those 2 vertical bars representing the absolute value. So if you're not watching this video, giant L, I'll start with the opposite of 100. A little straightforward, -100. So do me a favor and apply these absolute value symbols. Make sure that you first apply the absolute value prior to dealing with this negative that's located outside of it. Healthy hint. And then in checkpoint 2, fill in the space between the two numbers with a less than, greater than, or equal to symbol. Less than, greater than, or equal to symbol. So just highlight these bars and you can place in your symbol accordingly. But let's get back to the glory days. So you might have found yourself being that person that constantly relied on a calculator to help you with addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. But what happens in the event that you do not have a calculator? Hmm, what was that? Who knows? Yeah, let's go with red. Right, what do we do then? It all boils back down to the number line. Let's take our first expression, 1 plus -4. Okay, we're really sliding horizontally along the number line. If we have a positive 1 to begin, right, this is our starting location. If we're going to add a negative value, that would require us to move left along the number line. Even though we are adding, the value that we are adding is negative, thus forcing us to move to the left, right? So from 1 to 0 is 1 unit, to -1 is 2 units, to -2 is 3 units, and to -3 would give us 4 units, and coincidentally, value of our expression. Okay? I'm going to ask you to simplify B. Make sure that you tend to your operations before you combine your terms. Words of wisdom, we move right along the number line if the number is positive. Remember, right is that way. And we move left along the number line if the number is negative. Checkpoint 3 and 4, going to give you some time to add and subtract the following expressions. I did not include a number line here, but what I strongly encourage you to do is possibly grab a sheet of line paper, create your own number line. This is a technique that I use with my adult learners in the evenings, and it has proven to be quite successful. So I strongly encourage you to believe in me the same way I believe in you and work out that methodical process. In checkpoint 5, we have a lengthy application problem. Just because it is lengthy does not mean it is impossible, because it deals with a account balance, like one you will most likely come to own over your lifetime. But basically, we have a balance or a printout, a 5-day history for an active internet shopper below. Find the sum of the balances for Monday and Tuesday, and then the difference of the balances for Thursday and Friday. What does this tell you about the account activity? Be as specific as possible. We're going to start our class with this particular example. Now, when it comes to multiplication and division, there are a few rules that we need to keep in consideration. When we take the product, which involves multiplication, or the quotient, which involves the division of two integers with the same sign, right, their output is a positive value. And if we are multiplying or dividing two numbers with opposite signs, their output, or the product and quotient, is negative. Okay, I know that you could simply rely on a calculator here to determine these outputs, but I strongly encourage you to work through them on your own, because there's going to come a point in time, if you do plan on pursuing an advanced degree, where a calculator does little to assist you, and you're going to rely on you and yourself. So in the event of -6 times -4, a negative times negative is going to yield a positive. I don't have to explicitly type that symbol. And 6 times 4 is 24. And this brings us to our final point for today's context. We have the order of operations. Yes, I know that you can all methodically recant the operations, It is very catchy and rolls right off the tongue. However, the application of those processes is where we start to see many of our mistakes unfold. So we have our steps here. Okay, when we say parentheses, we are not doing parentheses. Right? Parentheses is not an operation; it is a grouping symbol, such as brackets, braces, and absolute values. So what we want to do is we want to perform all the calculations inside parentheses first. So that means we would locate parentheses, and if we see addition, that is what we are mathematically doing, not the parentheses. After that, we would evaluate all of our exponents. I would say the two most common mistakes I see in algebraic expressions being simplified include multiplication, division, and addition, subtraction, because we do not perform them in that order. We perform them in order from left to right, the same way you read a textbook. So we want to read our mathematical statements accordingly. Let's make our way through part A together, and part B and C will remain for you. First and foremost, I see that we have a parentheses. Therefore, if I look within it, I do see an operation of subtraction, and that is what I will do first. So 8 minus 10 becomes negative 2. Copy this symbol. Don't know the keystrokes. Control C would be to copy, Control V to paste. I probably should have actually. I'm using an arrow here because I'm simplifying the expression, not creating a new equal expression. So at this point, I will simplify my exponent. So that 2 to the third power is going to become 8. As I said before, when we have multiplication, division, and or addition and subtraction all in the same statement, we want to complete those operations from left to right. So I have multiplication first, to which I would follow with division. 5 times negative 2 will yield a negative 10, plus 8 divided by 4 is 2, and negative 10 plus 2, well, that we can definitely write an equal sign for. That is negative 8. Okay. So please make your way through B and C, performing the order of operations in the manner you see fit. And if they become tricky or you're unsure, we can definitely have a conversation regarding those in class. And to conclude, we have a application problem where you are tasked with creating your own order of operations that describes the situation that a new company has regarding their profit, and then calculating the amount each salesperson and associate will get, and that'll lead us to our enhancement opportunities. So I'll see you in our next video.